Evening. For this project, I was working with Zach, Amanda, and Manoja. So, if we're being real here, this group differed only a little bit compared to the other groups that I've worked with in the past. It was definitely more of a group instead of a team. This being because our goal was to try to earn as much money in the stock market as possible. Because Zach was the first to initiate the conversation, he was voted as the group leader. Manoja was the researcher. She did go through and research the different stocks and everything that we had chosen. And Amanda and I helped track the stocks and provided feedback on the different information. I will fully admit that my interaction with the group was delayed. I had gotten into a bad rhythm, and with everything else that I had going on, I was not as involved as I should have been to start off. Uh, when I was finally able to get myself together, it was the second meeting that our group had. Over the second and third meetings, I don't believe the interactions really changed between the two. Everyone was giving their inputs, and we were making our decisions based off of that. It was all unanimous at that point. Now, when it came to the second and third meetings, everyone was in attendance. I unfortunately missed the first one, like I mentioned earlier. These meetings were really punctual and very to the point, so I don't believe anyone uh, was involved more so than somebody else. Our group met three times total for this project. Zach was never the observer, though Zach was made, like I mentioned earlier, our group leader. I do feel Amanda had uh, been an unofficial leader, or at least she led a lot of the discussions that we had. Uh, Zach jumped in or jumped on the assignments early, but like I said, Amanda seemed to lead the discussions and everything that we were having. I'm not really sure what their leadership style was. Uh, Throughout the assignment, power seemed to be distributed pretty evenly, though. Like I said, Zach did seem to be the driving force. He had more legitimate power because we did give him or did vote him the leader of the group. I would say Amanda seemed to have expert power. Uh, like I mentioned earlier, she seemed to be the driver during the discussions. Uh, the pattern was really only meeting up in the evening. Beyond that, it only changed in the way that I was added to it during the second meeting. Nothing else seemed to change that I'm aware of. Within our forms of communication as a group, I don't believe any cliques had the chance to actually form. Everyone seemed to talk pretty well with each other, and no one seemed to talk down. But at the same time, we didn't split up into smaller groups. So again, I don't believe a clique had really any time to go through and actually form. Now, once everybody was communicating, it all seemed to flow pretty well. I would say we were a pretty cohesive group. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, the team went through orientation without my involvement. Unfortunately, I did miss that first meeting, though it did seem that they avoided the conflict stage uh, since it was agreed upon who would play what role. When I became more involved, we went through a very quick orientation phase again, but it seemed to quickly go to the reinforcement stage. We would get together and start discussing the trends during each meeting that we would have. Uh, we would then talk about whether or not to sell or keep the current stocks that we had. Um, I'm not too sure if everything there kind of played out as well as it could have, but I feel like we're all pretty new to the whole stocks uh, thing. Now, this actually worked pretty well and allowed us to stay on track. The meetings didn't really involve any conversations beyond what our actual topic was. So there's no reason to, um, or we didn't really stray from what we needed to discuss. Uh, because of that, again, I would say we were definitely an effective group. I've been through a lot of groups that got off track really easily. Once we found a good way to communicate, I would say that made things 100 times better. I know we started communicating initially through Halo, the online group chat that we had through there, but it very quickly became an issue. Some of us were able to access it better than others. But when we did go through and start uh, communicating through text messages and a group chat, it made communication a lot easier. Uh, but beyond me being there really 100% of the time, I don't think I would change anything. Like I said, everything worked out pretty well. Uh, maybe just have an eye on different stocks than what we did. But beyond that, I'd say we worked pretty well together.